Well, this past Sunday, the selection Sunday with the committee, and they decided that Notre Dame is no longer going to be in this playoff this year. Nope, they were bounced. Well, everyone was upset. Joey, how do you feel? What do you think? Well, I have some friends that are Notre Dame fans, and to me, Miami 100% deserved to make the college football playoff over Notre Dame. And I was saying this weeks ago. If you put Notre Dame in, you have to put Miami in. Well, the committee sat there and they said, well, head to head matters. That's the most important thing. Why play the games? If you're not if you're not going to put Miami in, then it doesn't make any sense because then Miami won't be scheduling Notre Dame for the future. They will completely remove away Catholics versus convicts from their book. Why? Why play the game if head to head doesn't matter? Notre Dame did not deserve to make the playoff, and I'll tell you why. I understand James Madison and Tulane, they got in, and maybe they shouldn't have. They won their respective conference. That's a whole other conversation there. Notre Dame did not deserve to make it over Miami. They beat them head to head. I mean, there really isn't much more really to say about it. I mean, Notre Dame's athletic director, Pete Bavacqua, called the process a farce, said the playoff was stolen from our student athletes. No, it wasn't stolen. You guys, Notre Dame, the one valuable win they have really on their schedule was USC. Okay, USC. You lost to A&M and you lost to Miami. So really, there's not much more to say about it. But the second part of this conversation that we need to address, the case for joining a conference. I said this last year on the podcast. I said Notre Dame needs to actually have a legit schedule. They don't play anybody. Nobody is going to respect them until they actually join a conference. And the whole thing of we want to be independent, we're separated from everybody. Why can't Notre Dame join a conference? Other teams have joined other conferences. UCLA and USC and Washington put their money where their mouth is. They left the Pac-12, which was a joke, and they joined the Big Ten. Oklahoma and Texas put their money where their mouth was, and they joined the SEC. So why can't Notre Dame join a conference? You can't call up the ACC and say, hey, we want to join your conference or join the Big Ten. They want to be separated. And you know what? I know for the future they're going to be scheduling bigger opponents, but you know what? Other athletic directors are going to sit there and other programs are going to go, why do we want to schedule Notre Dame? For what reason? They're not in a conference. For what reason? So okay, the case for joining a conference: strength of schedule and quality wins. Yes, if Notre Dame was in a conference and they lost to Miami and they won those other two games, and they had the record they had in a conference, they would be in the playoff. But here's the case for staying independent: tradition and identity. We talked about scheduling, flexibility, and marquee matchups, autonomy and revenue control, avoiding conference politics. Okay, fine. If that's your argument, but it just went and hurt you this year, who's to say it's not going to hurt you next year? Marcus Freeman's done a great job at Notre Dame. He has done an excellent job there. They were good with Brian Kelly, but I mean, they just made the national championship last year. And I understand you can play this card of it. You can play this card, and you can put this into the picture here as well, and go, well, Tulane and James Madison should not have made the playoffs. Listen, I'm not saying they should have, but by the metric and by how the rules are with conference play, they're in the playoffs. So Notre Dame, you shouldn't be complaining. You shouldn't be crying and declining a bowl game against BYU. BYU didn't make it, so you guys are going to decline a bowl game. That makes them even look worse. And you know what? Like I said, teams are going to look at that and go, I know bowl game's not that important, but it's still important for these players. It's still important for drafting purposes, for scouts. So, but I mean, really, it's really interesting. It really is to see that Notre Dame declined, and they did not deserve to make the playoff. I understand the teams that they played against, but when they started the season 0-2 to the two ranked teams they played, I thought to myself, and I go, well, they shouldn't have been ranked in the first place there when they were 0-2. Well, they lost to Texas A&M, very close. Well, they lost to Notre Dame by a field goal. They still lost. And you know what? At the end of the day, the committee went back to head to head. And that's exactly what mattered most. So I don't want to hear it from Notre Dame fans. We should have made the playoff, blah, blah, blah. No, you shouldn't have. Miami beat you head to head. End of story. Next one. It's like, well, it's like I'm in line for something. Let's see here. I'm looking for this. I'm doing this. I'm kind of rambling at this point. I'm trying to think of an analogy of, here it is. Here's an analogy. I have the answers to the test, and I get caught cheating. Well, you had the answers to the test. I got 100 on the test. You get caught cheating. There you go. There's your case. Case closed. You don't pass the test. You lost head to head. That's my analogy right there.